Welcome to Connect, the monthly series to connect you with your community. In each episode, we speak with experts, innovators, and community members, and together explore themes of loneliness, social connections, and healthy aging across Massachusetts. I'm your host, Sandra Harris, the state president for AARP Massachusetts and co-chair of the task force to end loneliness and build community. There's always something to learn, whether learning to play a musical instrument, starting a new hobby, keeping pace with technology breakthroughs, or even learning to knit. It is important that we continue to acquire fresh knowledge and skills. If you're not doing so, today we hope to inspire you to bring more meaning, purpose, and fulfillment to your life by becoming a lifelong learner and to connect to a whole new you. Research shows that continuing to learn helps our brain stay healthy. As we acquire new knowledge, we're helping our brains stay mentally sharp and intellectually stimulating as we age. Enrolling in classes at colleges and universities, art centers, libraries, senior centers, and even online allows us to meet new people, to connect with people of similar interest, helping us to keep making friends. With us today is Jim Hermelbracht, Director of Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at the Gerontology Institute at UMass Boston. Most of us know the Institute as OLLI. Jim, welcome to Connect, and thanks for being with us today.
Oh, Sandra, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the conversation we're going to have about lifelong learning and happy to share more information about OLLI at UMass Boston.
Okay, well, why don't you get started by telling us about OLLI? What is it and why join OLLI, and is it available to all Massachusetts residents?
Sure. So OLLI is the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, and we're actually one of 125 across the country. And I can talk a little bit more about the various OLLIs that folks have access to. But OLLI, as I like to define it, is a community of older adult learners who come together simply for the love of learning. And so you've talked a little bit about, the need and why we want to continue learning. And OLLI is this community of adult learners who just simply want to continue their exploration of different topics and areas. We're a membership-based organization, but we're also run by the volunteers, by the members themselves. So we're a membership-based, volunteer-run organization. And it's really a great opportunity, I think, for folks who wish to engage both mentally, but also have some social connections as well. One of your questions was, is it open to all Massachusetts residents? And so, essentially, yes, it is open to all Massachusetts residents, mainly because we have a lot of online programs. So where we offer in-person programs, they usually is around the Boston area or the South Shore area. But with our online program, it really opens up for anybody, regardless of where they live, whether it's in Massachusetts or beyond Massachusetts itself and other states. Why should folks join OLLI? I think there's a number of reasons why folks would want to join OLLI, and I think if you were asked OLLI members themselves, they would give you different answers. I think the main reason that folks join OLLI is because they're curious. We like to say, like a lot of lifelong learning programs, curiosity never retires. And so I think they have this kind of natural state of curiosity, of always wanting to satisfy that curiosity. So folks join OLLI because they want to continue that self-awareness, that realizing of some new information about a different topic. And I think another reason why they join OLLI is to do something, to get out of the house, to meet new people, to stay engaged.
Okay. We often think of education and learning as something that happens when we're young.
Yes.
So why is this lifelong learning so important, especially for older adults?
Right. So I think lifelong learning, from my experience and from getting to understand what lifelong learning is, I think it's important because, like you said earlier, it engages the mind. It keeps the brain healthy. And I think that's important. A member introduced me to the term a super ager. And so a super ager is someone who's older and whose mental memory capacity is equal to that someone who is 3 decades younger than them. And so they say, how do you become a super ager? And I think one way to do that is to constantly challenge yourself, to keep that mind active. And I think lifelong learning, which I really define as this continual pursuit of knowledge and understanding of a certain topic or area, it engages a person. And so I really think there's that mental piece, and when you have that mental health, your overall health is better. And I think the other great thing of why a person should become involved with lifelong learning is the social connections. And I know we're going to be really getting into those later in our conversation, but what I have seen from this is folks initially say, yes, I want to learn this, I want to learn a new topic, I've been always curious about X, Y, or Z. But then a byproduct is, oh, I met someone who challenged me. I met someone I never thought I would really have a conversation with, and I want to continue that relationship. So those, I think, are some really important factors about lifelong learning.
And it's all about making connections,
right?
It
really is. It's really surprising, the connections with the facilitator who's facilitating the course, connection with the person sitting next to you, perhaps on screen in our little square boxes on Zoom, or, what I'll talk about later, some of our programs where we go on trips or off campus, they get to meet folks who kind of have this like interest.
How does one enroll in your programs and courses, and what is the cost?
Sure. So like I said earlier, we are a membership-based organization. So we pretty much follow the academic calendar of the University of Massachusetts, Boston. And so we offer a spring semester of courses and a fall semester of courses. And to take those, folks need to be a member of OLLI. And our membership, we have 2 different levels, and they're annual cost. And so to become a full member, it's $225 a year. And a full member allows you access to all our different types of programs. The other one is the associate member, and that's $100 a year. And they can do everything that a full member can do, except they can't take the multi-week courses. They can take our presentations, they can go on our travel programs, they can do all our special events, but an associate member just doesn't have access to take the multi-week courses. Folks enroll by looking at our catalog. So we produce a catalog of courses that comes out in the spring, in January for our spring programs, and then it'll come out in July for our fall programs. All our programs can also be found online at our website. They can peruse our online catalog. You don't need to be a member to just look at our offerings to see what all we have available to folks. And then we just have a typical online or paper registration process where they say these are the courses that they would like to take, and so then they submit those forms. We don't charge per course. Other lifelong learning programs, you might pay a lower membership fee, but then you have to pay per course that you take. With OLLI here at UMass Boston, we just have a flat fee membership.
Do you offer any financial assistance for
Yes.
those who cannot afford?
Yes, we do. So one of the great things about OLLI is we have to do fundraising. And so part of our fundraising goes towards supporting scholarships for folks who cannot afford the membership fee. So we have a very simple scholarship process where folks just basically explain why they need the assistance and what do they hope to get out of lifelong learning. We want to kind of see how they wish to kind of use access to these programs. And it's we have about 30 scholarships a year that we are able to give out to folks.
Can you share with us some of the programs that you offer, and especially those that are most popular?
Yeah, so I want to be careful with this because I don't want to be too biased on certain things. But when you look at our catalog, in the table of contents, it's really divided by topical areas. So we have art and history, literature, current events, health and wellness. And I would say our popular programs, it's hard to say because everyone's so different. To be completely honest with you, it's like, one person may say, I really love art, and this other person say, I only joined Ollie because I like their online Tai Chi programs. And so I would say though, what we have found, folks, older adults who join Ollie at UMass Boston enjoy history. History, I think, is a one that we see a lot of folks joining, whether that's local history, state or national history, or world history. History really rings a bell, I think, with a lot of our members. I think the other one that folks really kind of gravitate towards is films. Any course we can offer that is, simply watching films, from documentaries to independent films. During the winter time, we do a winter film series. Just this past winter, we were doing it on resilience. That was the theme of our films. And so we found that our members love to talk about movies. And so anytime we have a movie course, they fill up very quickly.
Are you finding that outside of, even after taking the courses, where are there times when you've seen that social circles are created that exist and last, beyond the course, beyond the institute?
I'm laughing because yes, this one simple answer to that question is yes. So let me tell you some examples about that. So a little bit too, backing up just a little bit. So for Ollie at UMass Boston, you have to be at least 50 years old to join. Most of our members we have found are in their 70s and 80s. Our oldest member that I'm aware of is 97, and she is on Zoom, still living by herself in her home. And so, and I can talk a little bit about technology and working with older adults on that. But what I found, about these social connections is, and the pandemic challenged us just a little bit with this, but when we are in person, and we're having a class or a presentation, it was those hallway conversations. So folks would leave the class and want to continue a conversation. So we call them the hallway conversations. And we had a lounge at outside our office as well too, where folks would congregate maybe between courses. A lot of folks would bring lunch, or they would go to the cafeteria at UMass Boston and eat together. And from this, Sandra, these friendships started to form. And it was really fascinating and endearing to see folks meeting people they never would thought of meeting elsewhere. And they really, start to connect. Maybe it's first through a class and having some conversation about a class. And then it's maybe inviting them out for dinner or a coffee. So you see this circle of friendship, or the snowball effect, as folks start to kind of learn more about this person, and they see their things they have in common or they don't have in common, and so they learn about each other that way. And so it's just really been enjoyable to see these friendships develop. And I think to some of our other programs, so another program we do is we work with some local theater groups, and we do discounted theater tickets for our members. We do an Ollie outing to theater. So a lot of folks who do this theater outing, they develop friendships through that. And so they see the same folks going to these theater plays. I know of folks who go to dinner after the theater and have conversations. When we were doing a lot of travel programs prior to the pandemic, people met a lot on these travel programs. So they had this experience of going up to Maine or going over to France. And so they had this experience together of traveling, and they really formed these bonds. And so listening to our Ollie members, and Ollie is almost 25 years old. We've been at the university for almost 25 years. And there are folks, we still have some of our founding members back in 1999. Wow. And they've been with us, and they will talk about the friends they've met. They'll reminisce about, remember this trip, remember this person standing up and singing on this trip. So there's so many wonderful memories that are being built through these various lifelong learning experiences. And it's just, you see the care. You see the care in our members, their eyes, their voices, as they really get to know these people, and they share the hardships and the celebrations that come at this stage of life.
But when you had to pivot to the virtual platforms, how did you make up for those hallway conversations? What are you doing, and how has that impacted your program, not having that, opportunity for making those kinds of connections?
Sandra, it was tough. It was tough. Not gonna lie on that one. Pivoting to, like everyone, all lifelong learning programs, not just Ollie at UMass Boston, all lifelong learning programs had to figure out what to do. And whether it was Zoom or some other platform, we had to get our programs online and accessible to folks. And there are some challenges in that. First is, as a facilitator or a presenter who has to teach online, and they are so used to having people in front of them and that engagement back and forth. So they had to learn how to teach to all the tiny boxes on the screen. And then we had our members who had to, how do you learn online? How do you sit in front of your computer and learn? Is that different? And then, of course, we had folks who just didn't want to do it. And, and I respect that. They said, sitting in front of a computer screen isn't for me. I may not have the technology. We have members who don't have email or access to internet, and so they weren't able to connect onto Zoom, or they depended upon the library, their local library, as their main source to kind of connecting using their email. In terms of our members staying connected, or that engagement without that hallway conversation, at first people were probably timid to speak on Zoom. They didn't quite know what to do. They were trying to figure out, what all can you see behind me? My camera's on me. Are you seeing things in my house maybe you don't want to see? And so I think folks were getting used to the various technologies, but they slowly started to become comfortable. I saw folks saying hi to each other. They saw a familiar face on Zoom, and they would just start talking to them. So you had a lot of chatter happening. We would leave the Zoom going afterwards. So if folks just wanted to stay on Zoom to kind of talk about what they've heard in the presentation or course, they would do that. The other thing we did was, this came from a member, so this is what I love about Ollie, is a lot of our ideas for courses and programs come from our members themselves. This member said, well, why don't we modify speed dating? Why don't we make that into a social connection? Why don't we do like a speed friendship program on Zoom? So what we did is folks signed up for it, and we used the breakout rooms in Zoom. And so we would just randomly pair two people. We would send them off into a breakout room, and they had 8 minutes just to talk about whatever they wanted to talk about. And we did that 3 or 4 different times. So each time someone was matched up with somebody differently. And what we heard when they came back from the breakout rooms, they said, oh my goodness, we have this person in common. Or we grew up 2 streets from each other. We did not even know that. Or we worked at the same business and we didn't even realize this. So a lot of revelations really started to happen in these breakout rooms, in these small conversations. So we were fortunate that, through the technologies, through the resilience of our members to just try this. I think we were kind of battling kind of the stereotype of older adults are tech phobic. They don't want to learn technology, or they're nervous about learning technology. Sandra, we did individual trainings to over 350 of our members on how to use Zoom. We said, even if you aren't taking courses with Ollie at UMass Boston, at least use Zoom so you can stay connected to your family and your friends, or maybe your house of worship. And so we did a lot of training for members just so they can become comfortable with Zoom. And over the last 2 years, Sandra, whether it's through emails, phone calls, even letters, we had Ollie members say to us, if it wasn't for Ollie and Zoom during the pandemic, we don't know what we would have done. I appreciate our Ollie members for just, sticking with us, encouraging us and being so thankful for doing this. we are seeing folks loving the return to in-person.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for your enthusiasm and all that you do to make sure that there are opportunities for lifelong learning and for Massachusetts residents. Let's go to our field reporter who will talk to one of your OLLI members.
Yes.
Who will share her experience. Kara Cohen, field reporter, take us there.
Thanks, Sandra. I appreciate you introducing us. I'm here with Diane McCormick, who is a very active member of the OLLI community that Jim has just been describing. So Diane, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with OLLI way back when.
Oh, yes, and it was a while ago. After I retired in 2005, I was taking a yoga class in my neighborhood, and one of the members had just heard about OLLI. And when she described it, I said, oh, this is for me. The next day, I called up the University of Mass and tried to figure out who I should talk to about it. And the woman at the desk or the switchboard said, I'm going to connect you to gerontology. And then I thought, oh boy, I think I'm barking up the wrong tree here, because somehow gerontology, as a new retiree, sounded like more like an illness than a place I wanted to be. But that was just some prejudice that I had. Actually, it's wonderful that OLLI is located in the gerontology area, because we have access to a lot of people who have chosen to study the aging process. So they're a great resource to us at OLLI. So I joined back then in 2005.
And you've played a few roles, right?
Well, yeah, at first I was simply a member, but then I ran for the board. And when I got on the board, there was a change in leadership, and I was asked to run for chair of the board. And I did serve in that role for 4 years, two consecutive sessions. And that was terrific, because it gave me an opportunity to really get to know the 16 people on the board, and also to travel with our director to the national conferences that are held every 18 months. So that was a real learning and fun experience for me.
So this sort of ties in with your background before you retired. You're kind of an educator. People can participate in this community no matter what background they come from. And there's a variety of courses, but one of the main draws is that you're making connections with people.
Oh, absolutely. You know, once you retire and your own children grow up and move on to their own lives, you begin to notice that you lose a lot of connections, particularly with retirement. So it's really important as we age to meet new people and develop new communities of being. And that's certainly been a real benefit of being an OLLI member.
Can you talk a little bit about how you've actually enjoyed the virtual and the last 2.5 years, because there's some value to some of the courses that you've been taking?
Yeah, although I live in Dorchester, and on a nice day I could walk to UMass, I really have taken to the Zoom classes. You save on gas and time commuting. You don't have to pay for parking. And some classes really work very well. I've been taking a French class for a few years. And when I took the class in person, I couldn't hear the people speaking behind me. I'd sit in the front to be able to have a good view of the facilitator. But on Zoom, I can highlight whoever is speaking and get to see them really close face to face. And that helps in communication, to see the lips and the mannerisms and gestures to improve. And I'm doing Spanish as well, and that also is an advantage.
This OLLI at UMass is similar to a lot of other OLLIs around the state. So somebody listening to this program from elsewhere in the state can seek out the lifelong learning program that might exist near them. The costs might be different. They likely are still doing some kind of virtual engagement and maybe back to some in person as well. So we're trying to stimulate people with your recommendations to check out their local lifelong learning community. You obviously highly recommend it, Diane. So as we wrap this up, what are some closing thoughts?
One thing we didn't hit on in our discussion so far was the fact that in addition to the classes, which are great fun in meeting people. We've also had some very valuable travel opportunities. The international travel has been unbelievable. I've been to Thailand on one trip and Vietnam on another trip. There's a trip that I think that just happened into the Canadian Rockies, and there are more trips planned. Things had to be on pause during the pandemic, but that's picking up again. And I think the real takeaway for me that I would say to other people who are 50 and better, that this is an opportunity for you to meet new people and have good social relationships, learn things, which is good for our minds, and also be physically active because a number of our classes are exercise classes. And when you're back on campus, just walking around the beautiful campus, you'll get your exercise as well. So it's an important vehicle for aging well. And for me, it's really been a joy, the joy of learning and being with other people who enjoy learning.
Sounds terrific, Diane. A lifelong learner, that's good for everybody. It's good for our brains.
Yes.
It's good for our need for social connections. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kara. Jim, before leaving, what is the one piece of advice you would like to give to someone watching today who may be interested in learning something new, but who just needs that extra boost to get started? What should they do?
So I'm going to answer that maybe in two ways. I don't have maybe one. But first is have confidence in yourself. I think have that belief that this is something you can do. You know, one of the things at UMass Boston is we don't have an education background requirement. You don't have to have a certain degree or completed any type of an educational institution to enjoy our program. So I think part of it is take that chance, you know, and push yourself because you can do it. You have that confidence. The other thing I said, if you just need that little inlet to try something, and I know as cliche as this may sound, really join a local book group. I have seen one of the programs we do is during the summer and the winter programs with the free programs is book recommendations and reviews. And we generate this list of books that are recommended by older adults. They're not just OLLI members. And it's amazing that what I have found is so many people really enjoy reading, whatever genre it might be. They really enjoy just picking up a book and reading, or audiobook. A lot of our folks enjoy the audiobooks. Find a local book group. And just that is one simple way, because that allows you to listen to how others saw that book. It allows you to have your own input into it. So to me, something as a book group is one little way to kind of get you a little exposure to what lifelong learning can really be about.
Jim, this has been such a rich conversation. Thank you so much. And thank you, our audience. We hope you'll join us again next month for another episode of Connect. Until then, please reach out to your loved ones and neighbors, especially those living alone. Join the Reach Out MA movement. Visit us at endlonelinessma.com to watch past episodes of Connect, to learn more about the work of the task force and ways you can get involved in helping to address this loneliness epidemic in the Commonwealth. Thank you.